Week 17 is in the books, and what a way to finish it. Plenty of upsets, plenty of crazy games, and yet the playoffs are not fully full yet, as we're still waiting on teams in the NFC and the AFC, which is locked and loaded. We have all the playoff scenarios, all the craziness that you need to know right now, live on the 12th Horseshoe podcast, only on Surge Sports. Hello, hola, ¿cómo está? Welcome everyone to the 12th Horseshoe podcast, only on Surge Sports, alongside my partner in crime, Jack Rizzo. I'm Elijah Weintraub. We are full of playoff scenarios and more, and we were going to say hi to Jack. We'll get to the playoff scenarios. We'll get to what you need to know, and we'll get into the games. We have a lot to talk about in just a little bit of time. So first off, Jack, how are you doing?
Doing good, man. Happy. I can't believe the season's almost over. Yeah, Happy New Year. I can't believe we're in 2024 already, but I also can't believe that the NFL season's almost over. Feels like we were just here a few weeks ago getting ready for week 1, and now we're here in week 17. Playoffs are just underway. Both the Seahawks and the Colts, Eli, our two teams are right there in the mix. So it's going to be a fun week 18, and but let's break down week 17 first. It's funny. There's only one game we disagreed on all week. How funny.
I got it right. I got it right. I won this week in picks.
Yeah, it's not over yet, Eli.
All that matters.
One more week. And the playoffs, too.
And the postseason.
Yeah, so I still have time to make up ground, but you did win this week. Congratulations.
Thank you. All righty. Well, let's get to the playoff scenarios and what you need to know for each team. Let's start off with Buffalo. Buffalo needs a win, and they clinched the AFC East. Simple as that, because they do play Miami. Buffalo also clinches if Buffalo, for whatever reason, ties, and Pittsburgh and Jacksonville lose or tie, and Houston and Indianapolis tie. So basically, in other words, they just need to win, Buffalo. And
exactly.
If they don't win, they don't move on. Simple terms like that. Houston Texans, on the other hand, they need a win. Jacksonville needs to lose and tie. Or Houston needs to win. They go number 1. Well, either way, the winner of Houston and Indianapolis just gets a playoff spot. Let's start with that. Yep. They get a playoff spot.
And then the Jacksonville game.
They want Jacksonville to lose, too, so they can get the number 1 spot.
Obviously, the Houston-Indy game is Saturday, and then the Jacksonville game is Sunday. So the game on Saturday will determine who's in the playoffs, and then the Sunday game will ultimately decide who wins the division. But bottom line is that Houston and Indianapolis cannot get in the playoffs if they lose. Just the bottom line. They both have to win to get in, and they will both need a win and a Jacksonville loss to win the division.
Right, so that is simple as that, huge, and it's good. I think that might be the game of the week, to be honest with you. Looking at the rest of these games, I think that's the game of the week because Buffalo-Miami is important, but I think Houston and Indianapolis is such a better game because Indianapolis, they're such a good team, always going far, always keep it close, and they got Houston, the Cinderella run with C.J. Stroud as their quarterback, possibly making the playoffs for the first time in a long time. So it is really going to be the game of the week, in my opinion. Obviously, we'll have a game of the week on Friday, our choice there. Miami, they will win the AFC East with a win. Simple as that.
Already in the playoffs, yep.
They're already in the playoffs. They just need to win the AFC East. That's the only goal here. Pittsburgh Steelers, a lot of scenarios here. Pittsburgh needs to win and Buffalo needs to lose. Jacksonville could lose. Indianapolis or Houston could tie. Jacksonville loses. Houston, Indy doesn't have to end in a tie. Jacksonville loses. Denver wins and Houston and Indianapolis ties for them to clinch a playoff spot.
Bottom line, Pittsburgh has to win and they need some help.
Pretty much. So it's going to be a tough run for the Steelers and the AFC side of things. To the NFC.
Here's the crazy thing, though, Eli, before you move on. You look at a team like the Buffalo Bills, there's a chance that they can end up as the 2 seed or not even in the playoffs. And
you never would think of that.
It's how the season has gone.
And the Bengals are eliminated, too.
Exactly. And as Scott Hansen said on Red Zone, Cincinnati, Vegas, and Denver all eliminated from the AFC this past week. But as Scott Hansen said on Red Zone on Sunday, basically he said that the Colts, the Texans, and the Jaguars could all either win the division, be a wild card, or not even in the playoffs at all. Just shows
one of them has to be in it.
Yeah, obviously, but there's a chance they could all either win the division, they could be in a wild card, or they could all or none, or they could just not make it. But we'll see what happens.
All right, over to the NFC side of things. Atlanta needs to win. Tampa Bay needs to lose in order for them to get the NFC South.
And Atlanta cannot make the playoffs without winning the division. They have to win the division to get in.
Correct. So they need a win, and they have a tough opponent with New Orleans. Dallas, in order to clinch the NFC East, they need a win, number one, and Philadelphia needs to lose, or Dallas needs to tie and Philadelphia tie as a scenario. So in other words, Dallas needs to win. And they would also like a Philly loss as well. And it comes to Green Bay, they need a win. Bottom line, they need a win, and that's it. And I got to hope Minnesota loses if you lose. And Seattle loses as well.
There's really no other scenario here. They would need if they didn't win their game, because a tie is unlikely. So they need Minnesota to lose, they need Seattle to lose. Those they would need those two, and then they either need Tampa Bay or New Orleans to lose. So bottom line, Green Bay, it feels like they must win this game to get into the playoffs. And remember, Eli, this was a similar scenario to last year where Green Bay was winning in the final week, and they were home. They played the Lions on Sunday night, and they failed.
Yes, they did.
To them. So it's a deja vu again for the Packers.
Minnesota, they need a win. Green Bay needs to lose in order to clinch a playoff berth. Seattle also needs to lose, and New Orleans, Tampa Bay need to lose. So in other words, Minnesota needs to win and need a lot of help to make it there. New Orleans, on the other hand, to clinch the NFC South, they need a win, and Tampa Bay needs to lose. Simple as that. To the Philadelphia Eagles, they need a win, and Dallas better lose. That's the message. And honestly, I'm actually rooting for Philadelphia to win and Dallas to lose, because Seattle has beat Philadelphia already. So that would really help Seattle out compared to Dallas, which we lost to this season. So that's just my little take on that pick. Seattle, they're in a tough spot. They need a win, and they need Green Bay to lose. So you know how I'm rooting for. I ain't picking the Packers to win this weekend against the Chicago Bears. And Seattle needs to win. Bottom line, I don't think Seattle's making the playoffs, but you got to hope.
You never know. By the way, Eli, you forgot to say this, but the Saints can make the playoffs. They can make the playoffs without winning the division. There is a scenario where they would need some help, but the Saints can also make the playoffs without winning the division. But they're probably the best scenario for them is just to win the division.
And finally, all Tampa Bay needs to do is they need to win. If they win the game, they're into the playoffs. They clinch the NFC South. If they tie for whatever reason, they will lose. They'll need New Orleans to lose. So that is the playoff scenarios. On to the games. Let's start off with the final Thursday night game of the season. The Browns over the Jets, 37-20. With Joe Flacco as their quarterback, they delivered. They're in the playoffs now. They'll more than likely rest their players when they play Cincinnati this weekend. The Jets think they're out of the playoffs. Even though they are out of the playoffs, bad offensive line, no defense. Everything was just bad there. And the Jets have officially released Dalvin Cook, which is a pretty...
Not surprising.
Crazy news. Exactly. And those are my thoughts about the game. And all I know is if you're on Twitter right now, and if you see Aaron Rodgers and Pat McAfee show, there is some complications going on with even Jimmy Kimmel getting involved, possibly even lawsuits. So if you are on Twitter, take a look at that, because it is interesting stories. Some stuff I cannot say on the air. So yeah, Jack, will head to you first. What are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, first off, congratulations to the Browns. They are in the playoffs the second time in the last 4 years, and they are going to the playoffs, and they are actually locked in as the 5 seed specifically.
Yes,
it's funny how we know the Ravens are locked in as the 1, and the only other seed for some reason is a 5 seed, not a 2 seed, not a 3 seed. It is the Browns who are locked in at the 5 seed. They cannot move up or down the ranking. So I do think they're going to rest their stars, especially with a 38-year or with a nearly 40-year-old Joe Flacco at quarterback. But congratulations to this team, though. 4 different starting quarterbacks this year, and they are somehow 11-5 and heading to the playoffs. And this is a very dangerous team. Keep in mind that imagine if this team still had Nick Chubb on their roster. If they had Nick Chubb on the roster, I would probably consider them the biggest threat to the Ravens in the AFC. Even without him, you could still argue they are the Ravens' biggest threat right now. They beat them back in week 10. But congratulations to the Browns. An easy win over the Jets. Should Joe Flacco win Comeback Player of the Year? Sorry, Joe. No. My answer is no. I still think Baker Mayfield takes it over you because, 1, Baker's played the whole season, and 2, he has Joe Flacco's thrown as many interceptions in the games he started as Baker Mayfield has all season. So
I give it to Baker Mayfield, but he has to make the playoffs first. Then I could say if they don't make the playoffs, I would consider Baker Mayfield as a candidate.
Yeah, but
And for regards to Joe Flacco, if he leads this team to the championship games, not saying the Super Bowl, then I would consider Joe Flacco as a possibility.
Yeah, but it should be interesting. But Kevin Stefanski should be up there for Coach of the Year. I mean, having this kind of record with 4 starting quarterbacks, something I've never seen. I mean the Vikings as well with 4 different starting quarterbacks somehow still hanging around in the playoff race. It's just been a crazy year in the NFL. But
Yeah.
Congratulations to the Browns. They are in the playoffs and they're going to be in the 5 seed. They're going to play the winner of the AFC South in the wild card round. They do have to go on the road, which is not going to be easy. But the Browns feel like a team that's really good. It feels like a team that actually plays better when they're on the road. And as for the Jets, well, they just can't wait for the season to get over. They have a meaningless game against the Patriots next week, playing for pride and draft positioning and all that. But let's move on to some games on Sunday.
Yes.
We have a Saturday game first.
Yes, we have on a Saturday.
Really
yes.
fun game Sunday.
So by the way, regards to picks, we each got every pick of the game, either right or wrong, depending on their game. We picked exactly the same. So whatever the score is, that's exactly how it is, except for Green Bay, Minnesota, which I picked Green Bay. I was right. Jack picked Minnesota. He was wrong. That was the only game that we disagreed on. Everything else we agreed on. Now, Jack, I have a question for you. It's a very tough question. Who is the only team right now that has an undefeated record?
What do you mean an undefeated record? Nobody's undefeated.
There's only one team.
In the NFL?
Yeah.
There's no team that's undefeated.
Yes, there is. Brad Allen and the referees.
Oh my god. That is oh my, I mean, you're not wrong. That was one of the worst officiated games I think I've ever seen before. It wasn't even that. They missed several other calls before, but a ridiculous call. Obviously, the Lions have made it clear that they reported that specifically Taylor Decker reported as eligible. Somehow they screwed this up and they overturned the call. How about the guts, though, Dan Campbell, to still go for 2 from the 7 and then go again? I still can't believe
that was risky, though. That was risky. They should have kicked it.
Yeah, but anyways, the Cowboys won. We both got the pick right. Dallas just needs to win now to win the division. They control their own destiny. Really, nothing too big of a loss for the Lions. They're pretty much going to be, I think, the 3 seed, really, either way. So not really too big of a loss for the Lions, but yeah, fun game on Saturday night. Joe Buck had a couple of voice cracks at the end of it. So funny, honestly.
Yes.
Like, touchdown.
So did you like the joke?
Yes, I did. I mean, you're not wrong. Because it's
not wrong.
It's not really even a joke. It's just a fact, honestly.
Right.
But yeah,
it's true. It's the only team that's undefeated.
And then, speaking of undefeated, the Cowboys finished the season a perfect 8-0 at home.
Well, hold up right there. If they win the East, we have to add that points in.
Okay, well, no,
technically,
the regular season they finish undefeated.
Okay.
All right, next game.
Legal reasons say differently. My thoughts on the game: Lions messed up on the 2 points. Congrats to them on fighting back to those referees. Referees stink. By the way, they'll be doing the Steelers-Ravens games for anybody who's interested. So congrats to the NFL for once again doing their job. You get to see them on prime time again. Cowboys won a close one. Tough one against the Commanders next week. Ravens-Dolphins 56-19. What a horrible game that is. Ravens did everything that they possibly could. Offense was there. Defense was there. There's nothing bad about the Ravens. They're a playoff team. Resting the starters this week against Steelers would be my guess, but maybe not because this is a divisional round and could be a potential spot in the playoffs. So we could see some interesting takes in regards to that game. My overall thoughts, Dolphins think they'll be out the first round. Guarantee. I will guarantee that one. They'll be out the first round. No issue. Wishy-washy team, and those are my thoughts. Comment in from Jack, we'll get to your thoughts.
And then he tears his ACL. He's done for the season. This is just a brutal loss for the Dolphins. Now they're going to be playing the red-hot Bills on Sunday night next week for the division. This just feels like it's a disaster for Miami. And it feels like if they go on the road in the playoffs, especially if they go on the road in the playoffs, they're going to be out in the first round. This just feels like a very fraudulent team that's beat up on the bad teams and that one lucky win over the Cowboys. But yeah, this was an absolute spanking by the Ravens. But honestly, I can't really say I'm that surprised because the Ravens are just the much better team. I didn't expect a 37-point win, but I did expect the Ravens to kind of give the Dolphins a little lesson here. So congrats to the Ravens, the number 1 seed in the AFC, first time since 2019.
In regards to your statement about the Red Hot Bills, I'm going to consider that. They almost lost to the Patriots this weekend. 7 points was the final between the two teams. So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
It's good. All
Okay.
right, next
Bills over
game.
the Patriots, 27-21. I think my thoughts just said it all. They almost lost the Patriots. They won. Close game. Tough one versus Miami next week. And yeah, Patriots kept it close. They're out of playoffs, but they could win next week versus the Jets or could lose easily. We'll see how it goes. So I think, Jack, we already know that you think the Bills are red hot and very good to go. But any other thoughts you like to add?
Yeah, the score didn't dictate how this game went. The Bills pretty much controlled this game from start to finish, honestly.
Mhm.
So, Eli, I don't think you watched the game because
I did.
trust me, the
I
Bills
did.
the Bills controlled this from start to finish. They
They
really were
did,
never
but
so.
okay. Well, my bad.
Patriots
I
got
did
it
watch
was
the game.
okay.
They kept
All
it
right,
close.
all
For
right, fair enough. Let's go to the next
whatever.
game.
Bears over the
We both get the
Falcons.
pick
Third.
right.
Thank you. Bears over the Falcons. 37-17. We both got this pick right. Bears have the number one seed in the NFL draft. Plus, on top of that, got a win. And what a day for the Bears. Incredible day for them. Falcons failed again. That's all I got to say. And Jack?
Nice win for the Bears here. This game in the snow, really our first snow game here in 2023.
Technically, no, Denver.
No, there wasn't really much snow in that game.
Yes, there was.
Which game are you talking about?
The
Which
Denver
game?
was no, it was in November.
Against who?
Oh my God, what was the game? But it was snow in Denver. Let me look it up. But I know it snowed in Denver in 2023 in November. It was the first snow.
Yeah, but I don't think it was on like a game day.
Yes, it was.
All right, well, I'm going to call this the first snow game of the year because I saw lots of snow in this game. The Bears with a 20-point win, starting to get some momentum here towards the end of the season. Looks like they might keep a lot of their pieces in place after all. A dominating win over the Falcons, who are coming off a good win over the Colts. Justin
It was
Fields, to me, is the quarterback of the future here in Chicago. DJ Moore, what a trade that was. The Bears completely fleeced the Panthers of the first overall pick in the next year's draft. I can't believe they actually pulled that off. And as for the Falcons, well, they have to fire Arthur Smith or else they are in big, big trouble going forward.
the game, by the way, was October 29th versus the Chiefs. They won 24-9. There was snow all over the field before the game, and then
Yeah, but it didn't snow during the game though. I'm talking about snow during the game.
whatever, Jack.
What are your thoughts though on the Bears?
I said my thoughts. I think that the Bears are a good team, I guess you could say, against the weak teams.
Well, you have them
You
beating
know.
the Packers next week, so you do think they're a pretty good team. So
Well, you know why I do that?
why?
Because Seattle needs them to lose. And
Oh,
Seattle needs to
okay.
win.
Yes,
Aha.
yes.
There
Okay,
you go.
I understand now. Okay,
Okay,
that's good.
move along to the team I say is going right to the Super Bowl and possibly
Oh,
I don't know about the
I
Super
don't
Bowl,
know
but it's the AFC Championship at least the AFC Championship. The Houston Texans over the Titans, 26-3. They were on point. What a performance! The Titans at least got a field goal. That's all my thoughts. Congrats to the Texans. They're going to the playoffs. That's my prediction. Jack?
I'm just curious, Eli. What is your obsession of picking the Texans winning 26-23 every single week? This is next
They
week.
keep it close.
Spoiler, by the way, spoiler for next week. This will be the third week in a row that Eli has the Texans winning specifically by the score of 26-23. I don't know. I'm just a little curious,
Yeah,
why
I'm just curious. Well,
I mean,
maybe
yeah,
I'll change it if you think so.
no,
But
no, no.
if it comes out
No,
that
no.
number, we're gonna have to talk.
I'm not telling you to change it. I'm just trying to figure out the thought process behind it because
The
I think
Texans, for some reason, they against these the NFC South teams, they always seem to cut it close by at least 3 points. So is the Colts. So that's just my observation. I say, well, let's not pick any other numbers. Let's just go with the common numbers: 26, 23. Put them together. That's your final score.
Okay, very interesting. But anyways, yeah, this was a dominated game from start to finish. Really, nothing really much happened here. Will Levis suffered an injury. CJ Stroud was back. The Texans defense, probably their best performance of the season. And yeah, that's really all I've got. What a win for the Texans, though. Building up some momentum for that Colts Week
It's
18
epic.
showdown for the playoff spot. Should be a
Yeah,
fun
it's
one.
epic because it's on ABC and ESPN prime time.
Joe Buck
8:15
is calling it back in his
Yeah.
hometown of Indianapolis.
It'll be such a great game. That is one worth watching. Game of the week, my opinion. Do you think that's game of the week?
Yeah, not the Bills and the Dolphins. Those are two frauds playing each other. Colts and the Texans are actually good teams.
Thank you.
Well, actually, Joe Buck is from Florida, but he went to college in Indiana, so it's like a homecoming for him.
Okay. Colts over the Raiders. Another close one, 23-20. Why do you guys keep cutting it close by 3 points every game? Can you explain that one to me? I'm so confused. And by the way, Colts won, kept it close. Tough one next week versus the Texans. Raiders had a good one, good run, but it's over, eliminated from the playoffs. Bad game. Big offseason upcoming to see who's their official head coach and what the deal is. But can you tell me why do the Colts always win or lose by 3? Is that just a lucky number?
Well, this is only like the second time all year, Eli, the Colts have won by 3. So, but anyways,
I'm saying, it always seems to be like a close game. It's either by 4,
that's true.
3,
This game
1,
though wasn't
2.
really. It wasn't as close though as you think because it was 23-13, and then the Raiders scored a touchdown with like 30 seconds left.
Right.
So,
I'm just saying that the Colts just like to put close scores on the board. That's I'm just curious. Like
Seattle does too.
I know Seattle does too.
Yeah, you're right though. It's never easy with the Colts.
Seattle does too.
Yeah.
They lost because he threw an
Yeah.
interception.
Hey, I got the pick right though. Eli and I with actually pretty good score predictions. I had 20-17. Eli had 21-18, and the score was 23-20. So you're both very close on it. And the Colts have played themselves into a win-and-in scenario. Thank you, Kansas City Chiefs, for beating the Bengals, which allowed that to happen, and a great win for the Colts here at home over the Raiders. And they play at home next week against the Texans. And yeah, it should be a fun one. But let's go to the next game.
Jaguars over the Panthers, 26-0. Zip, nada, nothing. Don't really got to talk about the Panthers because they stink. However, there is one thing you do have to talk about. The NFL has fined chairman of the Panthers $300,000. That is David Tepper for unsportsmanlike conduct for throwing his alcoholic beverage or drink, or whatever you like to say, into the crowd of the Jaguars. Unsportsmanlike conduct towards the respect of the Jaguars fans. That is all I have to say. Jaguars surprisingly won an important game for them. Big one next week versus the Tennessee Titans. So, yeah. What are your thoughts on the game, Jack?
Oh, man. I don't have any thoughts. David Tepper made the best throw. David Tepper had the best throw for the Panthers all day with that throw of the drink onto the fan. $300,000. Yeah, that was the best throw the Panthers made all season, honestly. And it came. Yep.
Joke of the day goes to Jack Rizzo. That was good.
Yeah, $300,000. That's totally justified. Honestly, that is inexcusable for a multi-billionaire to do that to just some fan.
Generous.
Really, it's really the low point. I feel like the Panthers have officially hit rock bottom in their franchise. This is worse than 2010. This is worse than this is worse than 2001 when the Panthers started out 1-0 and then lost their last 15. This is the low point of the Carolina Panthers, and I'm so sorry to all the Panthers fans out there. If there is, because they don't have any fans show up to any of their games. So sorry, Panthers fans.
Wow. Right to the bottom. Let's go to the next game. A surprisingly close one without Tommy Cutlet DeVito. The New York Giants lose to the Rams 26-25. The Rams did their duty, almost lost, however. They've got to play. They've clinched a playoff spot. Now the question is, will they win next week for San Francisco? What's the mindset there? What is the deal there? What is it like coming playoff time? All questions and answers remain. Giants, on the other hand, lost bad. Pretty bad. Things I can. Only thing I could say is that the Giants need to rebuild. That's all I could say. So without further ado, Jack, go ahead.
Well, I'm sure this is a game that Giant fans were probably happy to lose because it helps their draft positioning. The Rams, by the way, are in the playoffs thanks to their win and Seattle's loss. Sorry, Eli, but the Rams are officially in the playoffs. Congratulations. They are a team to watch out for. Honestly, they could be the 49ers' biggest threat in the NFC. A lot of these other teams look like pretenders, and I think the Rams are slept on a little bit. So watch out for the Rams in the playoffs. By the way, this is my survivor pick, and I got it right. I had to sweat it, but it was close. But let's move on to the next game. Maybe the upset of the season here. Maybe the upset of the 2020s so far.
Before we get to the upset of the season, let's remind everybody of the standings. Okay. 13-3 Ravens, who have clinched first place in the AFC. 12-4 49ers, first place in the NFC. Lions and Cowboys, Dolphins and Eagles all sit at 11-5, all clinch a playoff spot. Division win for the Lions at 11-5. 10-6 Bills and Chiefs, both with Chiefs with the division win. 9-7 Texans, Colts, Jaguars, Rams who clinch playoff spot, and the Steelers 8-8 Bengals and Broncos both eliminated. Packers, Saints, and Seahawks and Buccaneers eliminated for the playoffs. Bears and Raiders at 7-9, 7-9, as well as Falcons and Vikings who are still in it, believe it or not. Jets, Chargers, Giants, Titans, Cardinals, Patriots, Commanders, Panthers all eliminated. 6-10, 5-11, 4-12, and 2-14 are their records on where they stand. Upset of the game of the upset of the year, I guess you could say. Cardinals over the Eagles, 35-31. What a performance by the Cardinals. And this goes to show you how much this Eagles team needs to improve. And that's what I'm hoping for Seattle to win, Dallas to lose, and Philadelphia to win, because I would love to have Seattle play Philadelphia and win amazingly in the playoffs. So that is what I'm rooting for, and that's what I'm hoping for. Jack, what are your thoughts on this crazy game? Congrats to the Cardinals, by the way, getting their 4th win, which I did not expect would happen.
Yeah, it was an incredible game. Nice revenge for Jonathan Gannon, the Eagles defensive coordinator. He comes back to Philly and leads the Cardinals to a massive win over the Eagles. What a final drive from Kyler Murray. James Conner with a great game. And the Cardinals, with nothing to lose, go in and shake up the NFC playoff picture. As for the Eagles, I'm really running out of words to say for them. I mean, they might be the
Fly, Eagles, fly.
11-win team of all time. Cry, Eagles, cry. Cry, Eagles, cry.
Listen, I'm asking for one thing. I need the Eagles to win this Sunday. I need Dallas to lose, Green Bay to lose, and Seattle to win. 4 things I'm asking for.
All right, well, cry, Eagles, cry, Eli. Eagles stink. And I might not even pick them next week against the Giants, but TBD on that.
Wow. Saints over the Buccaneers. 23-13. The Buccaneers, with their most important game on the line, could have clinched the playoffs, but we would have never been in this drama to begin with. Instead, lose to the Saints. The Saints now still have a chance at winning the division, yet make the playoffs. What a game for the Saints. Everything was on point there. Buccaneers, what a surprise. Possibly one of the worst games that we've seen for Baker Mayfield and the Bucs in a while. So, what are your thoughts overall on this game?
Man, it was a disaster. It was 20-0 Saints before Tampa even got on the board.
Making this short and sweet. 49ers over the Cardinals, 27-10.
Commanders. You said Cardinals.
Commanders.
Yes.
My bad. Commanders play the 49ers. Guaranteed loss. 49ers won. They got the number 1 seed. Short and sweet. Jack, I think you can make it short and sweet as well.
Yeah, 49. Congratulations, 49ers. Commanders have the 2nd pick of the draft. I mean, we all knew how this game was going to go. Commanders actually stayed in it for a little bit, but yeah, good win for the Niners, and they are the number 1 seed, just like we all expected. So let's go to the next.
Steelers over
It's like one of the only things all year that we actually expected, because everything else feels so unexpected from what's happened this year.
Steelers over the Seahawks, 30-23. Let me start with the Seahawks. Oof. They should have started Locke, number 1. That's my first thing. He threw an interception, Geno Smith. That is the reason why we lost the game. Defense was not on point yet. Offense did okay. Just a bad day for Seattle. It is a tough road ahead. Huge win for the Steelers. Defense is there. They could still get a playoff spot potentially. It's going to take a lot, but they could do it. But I don't know if I could see Seattle in the playoffs. Maybe, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Jack, you can go ahead and rant all you want about Seattle. I'm okay with it, because this is one of those games where it's like, well, you should have won. You didn't.
Mike Tomlin keeps his non-losing streak seasons alive. No season in his coaching career has he had a losing record. And the Steelers now, their 20th straight non-losing season. So no matter what happens against the Ravens this week, the Steelers are going to finish with a winning record somehow, some way. It's honestly remarkable considering what they've dealt with this year, the injuries, the quarterback play, but their defense has really just saved them all season. And they're still not out of the playoff race yet. They need some help to get in, but bottom line is, it's been I don't really know if you could call it a successful season, but I'm just surprised they've stayed in contention for this long. But yeah, and how about Kenny Albert though? Called this game Sunday, and then the very next day called the Winter Classic. Same city, just different team at T-Mobile Park. So
and now he's calling the Rangers game for ESPN Radio
tonight.
Yes.
So
congrats to him.
Yeah, he had four different sports in 4 days back in 2009. We'll see if he calls a Knicks game soon too, and then see if history repeats itself.
Maybe. But
Let's go.
listen, there'll be 3 sports though.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I thought, maybe I just thought because the hockey game was played at a baseball park, so that's why I got confused. It's understandable.
Well, listen, that was a great Winter Classic, by the way. If you watched, congrats to Seattle, huge win there.
I can't really say it was a great one. I mean, the Seattle Kraken blew them out.
They won. Epic stadium, epic stadium design. Can't wait for the NHL Stadium Series, which, by the way, the Devils will win.
The Rangers will. Well, actually, no, we can't even disagree because they're in different games.
Yeah,
so
we're in different games. Yeah, whatever.
They'll both win.
Broncos over the Chargers, 16-9. Broncos eliminated from the playoffs. Not much more to say there. But they did win 16-9. Chargers stink. They need to rebuild. Short and sweet. That's all I got to say. Jack?
Both teams are poverty franchises. That's really all I have to say. This game was so meaningless. Probably maybe the most meaningless. Honestly, let me take a look here at my my things. I think I believe this was the only game all week where both teams playing were not in playoff contention. So meaningless game, but yeah, let's move on to the next one. A pretty fun one in Kansas City.
Chiefs over the Bengals, 25-17. A good win for the Chiefs. They made the playoffs. Close game, but I don't see them going far in the playoffs. That's my spoiler preview. Bengals did okay. Could have played better, but not a bad day. Not a bad performance for them. They still have a tough one next week versus the Browns. The Chiefs have the Chargers in Inglewood, California. So, Jack?
Yeah, how about Harrison Butker yesterday? 6 straight field goals to end the game. It was 17-7 Cincinnati. Kansas City kicked 6 field goals in a row and won the game by 8. Kansas City's defense really stepped up, did not allow any points in the second half. Cincinnati's O-line could not protect if their jobs depended on it. So congratulations to the Chiefs, division champs for the 8th straight year. That is absolutely remarkable. The Bengals, though, will miss the playoffs for the first time since
a lot of years.
No, they only made it 2 years in a row. So it's actually it feels like they've been good for a while, but actually they've only made it 2 years in a row. But that streak ends today. So congratulations to the Chiefs. And let's talk about this Sunday night blowout, which don't really want to talk about.
There was there's no Thursday night game, so this is our last thing we talk about for tonight. Packers over the Vikings, 33-10. An amazing win for the Packers. Great on offense, great on defense. The Vikings stink, and that's all I could say. Glad I picked the Packers to win, so I won this week in picks. I lead by, I believe, 4 games. I believe
3.
Okay, 3.
Yes.
So got some catching up to do. I think I can win it though. I need to win something. You won locks, so I went up. So congratulations to you. Thank you. I think I need to win the pick, so at least I could say I won something.
Okay, well, I'm not even going to spend much on this game. Jordan Love is the future, though, in Green Bay. And I'm excited, though, the Packers won because Bo Melton from Rutgers had a phenomenal game, over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. Bo knows. And 3 different Rutgers players scored touchdowns this week. Him, Isaiah Pacheco, and Gus Edwards. So,
yes.
Are you rock? Are you rock?
All righty. Well, that will do it for the 12th Richard Podcast Week 17 breakdown and reactions video. Join us on Friday, time to be TBD, for the Week 18 picks, our final picks of the regular season before playoffs. We cannot wait for it. And as always, go Devils, go Seahawks.